Today we're going to read Chapter 6, Simply Stumped. Mossy Lake University was not too far away. In fact, it was right next door. Nell left the scene and hurried on campus to her mother's laboratory. She often went there when she had a problem, and this was definitely a problem. Fortunately, her mother was in. Professor Ann Fossey was sitting at her desk grading papers when Nell walked in. Mom? Goodness gracious sakes alive, if it isn't Naturalist Nell, how are you? And Professor Fossey hugged Nell in the most unprofessional manner. But Nell didn't mind. Ever since her father and mother had divorced 2 years ago, Nell figured she needed more hugs than her normal quota. 12 per day, to be precise. What brings you here? Asked Professor Fossey. I have a problem. Or rather, the town has a problem. Really? Please explain. And so Nell did. She explained and explained. And when she was done, she said, So that's it. We're stumped. Simply stumped. And now Detective Drake is going to try to raise the bridge with hot air balloons before Frisco saves the day. I just don't know. Something's not right. For a while, neither of them spoke. Nell knew her mother was thinking hard. Her mother was always quiet when she was thinking hard. And during all of this hard thinking, a clock ticked, a snake slithered, and a gerbil fell asleep. Finally, Professor Fossey spoke. I had a similar situation once. What happened? I was deep in the Amazon, floating down the river. Suddenly, our canoe sprang a leak. Surrounded by crocodiles, we started sinking. It was desperate, simply desperate. It was sink or swim. So, what did you do? Asked Nell. Our lead scientist suggested we quickly make friends with the monkeys. Then the monkeys would swoop down from the trees and grab us just in the nick of time. But then someone else suggested that we instead hypnotize the crocodiles using the latest techniques in animal magnetism. And, obviously, said Professor Fossey, we were wasting precious time, so I simply plugged the hole with bubblegum. Bubblegum? Asked Nell. Not exactly cutting edge science, but it worked. Wow, whispered Nell. Then she frowned. She didn't see the connection. But what does this have to do with the truck stuck under a bridge? Ah, like a true scientist, you've come to the heart of the matter. You see now, sometimes the best answer is the simplest answer. Now I want you to return to the truck and think simple thoughts. No balloons, no grease, no peering under the hood. Here's my cell phone. If you're still stumped, give me a call here at the lab and I'll talk you through it. I know you can do it, dear. And with that, she gave Nell a quick peck on the cheek and went back to grading papers. All the way back to the all the way back to the bridge, Nell puzzled over what her mother had said. Sometimes the best answer is the simplest answer. Crossing under the yellow tape, she surveyed the scene once again. Nothing had changed. There were still firefighters, police officers, engineers, truckers, politicians, and reporters. They still measured and jotted and held quick conferences. Nell walked around the truck. She scratched her head. She got real quiet. She thought real hard. The simplest answer. And then she thought some more. It was beginning to hurt, all of this thinking. She fingered the cell phone in her jacket pocket and wondered if she should call Professor Fossey. She knew her mom would give her the answer if she asked, but no. Nell wanted to solve it herself. The answer was simple. It was right in front of her face. All she had to do was think, and so she did. She thought simple thoughts. She thought and thought. The simplest answer. She stared at the truck. The truck is too tall. She stared at the tires, and then she knew. It was simple. So simple that she was amazed no one had thought of it yet. The answer was, of course, air pressure. The air pressure in the truck's tires supported the weight of the truck. Once that air pressure was gone, the tires would deflate and the truck would sink. Knowing this, Nell picked up a strong twig and calmly poked it into the valve of tire number one. She'd seen this on the TV once. Psst. And while no one paid her the slightest attention, she poked the twig into the valve of tire number two. Psst. And tire number three. Psst. By the time she had let the air out of all the tires, the entire town was watching. If they weren't there in person, they watched on TV. Everyone gasped with amazement. It was quite impressive, really. Slowly, very slowly, the truck sank lower and lower until finally it was a few inches shorter than the bridge. Gentlemen, said Nell to the trucker, start your engine, and next time, read the height sign. It made for a long day. All the interviews, all the handshaking with the mayor, all the explaining about air pressure. By the time Nell returned home, her tadpoles had been waiting a very long time. They were glad to see her. The phone rang. Doyle and Fossey, she said. Drake here. Congratulations. It was awesome. Air pressure? How did you figure it out? Simple, said Nell with a satisfied sigh. It was simple. And that is the end of chapter 6.